Here. John 7:8.
Okay.
Jesus to go to the feast or not to go to the feast. Yeah?
Okay.
Although in this verse Jesus states that he's not going to the feast, he seems to have changed his mind after his brothers leave. Verse 10.
That's not a textual issue. That's
excuse
that's
me.
interpretation issue.
You asked me for evidence and you ran away from the evidence.
I'm not running away.
It seems to suggest that Jesus either lied to them about going to the feast or went back on his prior decision. In any case, scribes were struck by the possible inconsistency, and in order to alleviate it, changed the not to not yet, which also appears in a later clause. So he says 7:8. The reading was introduced at an earlier date in order to alleviate the inconsistency between verse 8 and verse 8. This is Metz's
I would
commentary.
challenge you on that very sentence that you just read. How
Challenge
on
what?
earth is that a doctrinal change? You tell me. That is ridiculous.
Listen.
How is that a doctrinal change? That was one little...
Does Jesus sin? Does he commit any sin? In your doctrine? In your doctrine of Jesus Christ, is he sinless or can he sin?
Is it what?
In the doctrine of Christ that you have, is he a sinless person, unable to commit any sin, or can he sin?
What does that have to do with this statement?
I will prove my point about the doctrinal
Is
change.
Muhammad from God or
Excuse
not?
me.
I can ask the same kind of question.
Here, in this change, is to do with what? Someone is able to sin or not sin. One verse implies that he is sinning. Another verse implies that it says...
How does that one verse imply he's sinning?
Ask the scholar who said that.
I'm asking you. You're the one making the big deal about the scholar.
You quarrel with the scholar who said that. So they're saying...
I read what you said. That's nothing. What does that have to do with sin? That's just a that's just a textual
when someone
question.
lies, if Jesus lied, would that be a sin?
Where does it say Jesus lied?
One moment. If Jesus were found to be lying, would that be a sin?
I'm not going to answer that question because you.
Of course it would be a sin. I answer on your behalf. Of course it would be a sin.
Well, that's your answer because you have to find
so
what you mean by lying.
since this verse in this manuscript definitely shows that he is actually sinning by lying. Other scribes...
You said he's lying. You
Listen.
never said he lied.
Listen.
When
he says...
Master say he lied.
Excuse me.
He didn't use the word lie. He used
Listen.
the word consistency.
Listen.
You were taking Bruce Metzger out of context.
Listen.
When... You're listening to me.
When somebody says, I am not going to go, and he went later on, was he lying?
No. He maybe changed his mind. That's a silly question.
Okay.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
Wait.
This is a silly argument. You're so desperate to find the word inconsistent.
Did he know
into a lie?
Did he know that he was going to go and not go?
We don't know. Or you say that. You're assuming.
Was he unknowledgeable?
You're assuming that.
Was Christ unknowledgeable?
I don't know because
you don't know.
No.
Very interesting.
Because Jesus.
So Christ.
There is a place in the verse, if I could say, that you're taking stuff.
Christ
said he didn't know, only the Father knows. Don't you remember that? You claim to know the Bible, but you're what we call scholars call cherry picking. You're picking out the cherries that support your point.
So
and you're ignoring that.
I am not going to ignore the point.
Yes,
since you raised it,
you're picking cherries.
Since you raised this, does Christ know everything?
I don't know. Probably not.
Right. Can he be God if he doesn't know everything?
What do you mean by that? He was a man.
If God is God, does he have to know everything?
You're using logical arguments. You're using logical arguments about the nature of Christ, which you don't really know about.
Do you believe God is knowledgeable?
Do you believe you're knowledgeable? You sound like you are. Do you believe you're knowledgeable? That doesn't make you Christ.
Do you believe God is all knowledgeable?
What does that mean?
I am not all knowledgeable.
Okay.
All wise.
What does that mean? Okay. What does that mean? All knowledgeable. I know where you're going.
Oh, you don't know what it means? All knowledgeable.
You're using this. You're using argumentative logic to prove a point without really understanding what the nature of Jesus, the nature of his relationship to God. You're not.
It's quite interesting how every time
an Islamic viewpoint in all of these arguments, which really has its own problems about.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
I've
let's go back
told
again.
You to look at all the evidence. You are cherry picking the evidence to prove your point, and see that would say you're running away from the evidence. evidence.
Excuse me.
Not me.
Excuse me. I had on my iPad,
Yes.
not just one example. So you are guilty of misrepresenting me again when I was simply showing one. Excuse
I'm
me.
not misrepresenting you.
One after the other. I did not cherry pick. If you so wish, let's start with the evidence. Now, my friend.
You're picking
Excuse
the
me.
evidence now.
Do you believe in your belief and doctrine? God knows the past, present, and future.
That's a difficult question. There's even Christians that disagree on
I'm asking
that
you.
question. I don't really know fully because I don't even understand the terms.
So God may not know the future, according to
I
your...
didn't say that either.
So-
you're reading words into all of this. You know, this is the problem. You're reading words into evidence. You're reading words into...
There are only two possibilities.
Because you're
Either
so
God knows the
desperate
future
to
or He
defend
doesn't.
the Islamic viewpoint.
Excuse me.
Okay? And
My friend,
that's-
it is not difficult. There is only two possibilities.
No.
Either God knows the future or He doesn't. Is there a third?
yes, you don't know if he does or not.
That's not a possible answer. Listen. I thought you were a man of academia and scholarship and learning.
Well, I'm not a man of argument, though.
I'm not arguing, I'm discussing with you.
It looks to me like an argument to me.
You already have these preconceived biases. Every time someone's speaking to you, they misrepresent, they don't understand, they haven't read. That's why you're telling me about me.
Well,
I'm saying,
I think there's
at least, look at what I have to say.
Ask the people around you. Ask these camera people right over there and there.
Yeah, ask them. They would agree with me and disagree with you.
On YouTube,
my friend.
Value
So you believe it is possible God doesn't know the future?
I don't know. What's wrong with saying that? Do you claim you know everything?
Does God know whether you're going to go to heaven or hell?
You tell me. What does that mean?
I'm asking you. What do you think? Does God know?
I'm not going to answer those questions.
So you have a belief where you haven't got a clue.
I didn't say that. You're reading.
So you have a clue. What is your clue?
You're putting.
Okay. What are your thoughts on this?
You say one thing.
Okay.
And then you draw another.
I'm not going to put my words in your mouth. What are your thoughts then? Do you think God knows whether you're going to go to heaven or hell?
Do you think the Quran is the word of God?
Excuse me.
Because it disagrees with one of the other. I can demand questions of you. You keep firing questions at me.
The Quran is the word of God, independent of any book.
How do you know it is? How do you know that?
So now, because
how do you know the Quran's a word of God, especially when you see contradictions in the Quran?
Can you provide me an example of one contradiction? Which is
the pre-Medina and post-Medina. There's lots of differences.
Give me one example.
And even Muslims say
give me one example.
Supersession.
Give me one example.
Okay, kill the believers, support the believers.
No.
Support the believers.
Give me one example of a contradiction.
Gave you one.
Give me what?
I just gave you one.
Which is?
Okay, I just gave you one.
No, I want to know which one is it.
Kill the unbelievers or tolerate the people of the book. That's one example there.
Can you show me where
There's lots of differences.
Slow down. Since we have moved away from your uncertainty of your faith, possible uncertainty.
No, I never said that. That's your word.
Are you certain you're going to go to heaven?
No, I'm not going to answer terms that you.
I have asked the $1 million question now. I put you in the right boxes.
No.
Are you certain you're going to go to heaven or hell?
You're not. Are you
got
certain
you now.
You're
got
going
you.
to heaven or hell? Can you answer that question?
I'm asking you.
Okay.
Are you certain you're going to go to heaven or hell?
Okay. Why are you asking that question?
Are you certain?
To do with anything?
Are you certain?
I'm not. I don't know what that question means in this kind of a context.
No problem. No problem.
To you, heaven and hell means something different.
No problem. I'm not going to ask you again because now we already know what your stance is.
You're going to go to heaven or hell because in Islam you're not sure until you get weighed in the balance.
Could you provide me
you don't know yourself.
References to these contradicting verses? Let's deal with that. Let's deal with this.
Okay.
Let's see how these two verses contradict each other. Okay. So show me the reference.
You'll explain them away because you'll say they're taken out of context.
Excuse me.
Right?
Excuse me.
Right?
I am simply going to ask you to establish how they are contradictory.
Okay.
Go on, bring those verses. Okay. No, not one says. Bring those verses out. Okay. Give us the references and tell us
the references.
No, you made a claim.
I don't know the references anymore than you know all the references.
Perhaps you know
in the Bible that you didn't know the references.
No, perhaps you know at least this thing that the onus of providing evidence is on the one who makes the claim.
Okay.
You made a claim.
Okay.
So substantiate it.
Okay, I will have to go do research on it. I don't have it at my fingertips. Okay.
Then say this is just your misguided belief.